The gameplay loop of 358 Days Over 2 is often seen as monotonous and kinda boring, despite the game clearly being built for short play sessions, and yet there are some times where the game shakes up the formula a bit to give you something else to do. When you visit Olympus for the first time on day 117, Phil takes it upon himself to train Roxas up so that he can participate in the games. He does this by putting us into 3 different barrel training courses on 3 separate days, with each one getting harder than the last. The goal is to rack up these yellow points by breaking these barrels in quick succession to keep the chain going. The more barrels you break, the more points you'll get. According to the Brady Games guide, the number of points per barrel multiply based on the number of barrels in the chain. The chain is indicated by the faint glowing ring around the barrel, as well as the flashing word chain in the top left underneath your heart points. So in order to score high, our strategy is to keep our chain going by hitting barrels that are closer together first, then going for ones that are further away. Now, when it comes to equipment, I decided to go with a Keyblade that has a short ground combo, so that I could launch them more quickly, and of course I had to go with the perfect one for the job. Yes, I'm being serious. Since all you really need to do to make the barrels fly is a finisher, damage isn't really a factor that you need to factor in, making the umbrella a perfectly viable option for this challenge. The Brady Games guide claims it's better to use the lift gear, but personally I don't really see it. In addition to this, I equipped the non-upgraded haste panel to give myself a little bit of a speed boost, as well as the Eternal Ring that gives me a boost to my chain time in order to maximize my chains. With all that said, let's get right into the first training course. After clearing the investigation portion of Mission 36, you can talk to Phil and he will put you into a flat arena with 6 barrels to start. Now, it's important to note that there are clearly 2 different kinds of barrels. You have the standard bright yellowy ones that are just normal barrels, but there are also the reddish brown ones. This distinction is very important as the reddish brown ones, hereby known as blast barrels, are loaded with explosives. The idea is you want to save those for when your chain reaches its peak so that you can smack the blast barrel into a group of regular barrels to maximize the number of points earned from doing so. With haste and dodge roll equipped, I can move between the barrels and get into position to hit them much faster than just trying to glide or air slide. Another tip I picked up on is actually not even always checking where I'm hitting the barrels, and instead focusing on where they are grouping up on the minimap and then just kind of hitting them in that general direction. After a lot of practice, I was getting pretty good at consistently earning 250 or so points, but I was constantly aiming for over the 300 mark, and, after struggling for about 2 hours, I ended with my best attempt yet at a total of 310 points. It's not too shabby, but I'd honestly really like to shoot for at least 358 points minimum. The good thing about Mission 36 is that you can retry the barrel thing as many times as you want, but from here on out, Phil cuts you off at just 3 tries, so if you want more attempts, you unfortunately need to replay the whole mission all over again. Thankfully, all it is just beating a few Heartless this time, but it's still pretty frustrating. For this new course called Practical Application, Phil has added some raised platforms, and this time there's also Heartless for us to knock the barrels into. The Soldier Heartless function more or less like barrels in the sense that when you knock a barrel into one, it insta-kills it, and gives you points equivalent to the chain. The first 3 barrels always spawn in the same spot, so I always rush to the furthest one and immediately start hitting them all directly into the Heartless that also spawn again and again in the same spots. The hard part about this version is definitely getting to the barrels quickly and hitting them to where you need them to go accurately. Because the platforms where the barrels spawn are raised, I added the fully upgraded version of the air slide panel to my equipment to make it easier to move from one side of the arena to the other in a flash, but it's still pretty hard to land and then hit them in quick succession. Overall though, this one might be the best one to aim for a high score on. With the spawn rates of the Heartless being the same throughout, it's really easy to just hit the barrels into a general direction and have them hit something 85% of the time. The spawn rate of the barrels might make or break your run, but if the barrels decide to spawn closer together, you can fire them off one after the other really quickly. But if they're spaced too far apart, you risk a big time loss. For now, I end my attempt at this stage with a solid 317 points, which is a nice tiny step up from the beginner's course. The Champs Challenge, the final mission with the barrel game, certainly lives up to the name, because after almost 3 hours of trying, I still couldn't break 300 points with this one. The stage has more raised and lowered platforms in such oddly inconsistent places, making traversal an absolute nightmare, and all the while you are tortured by the ever so annoying sounds of the loudmouth Heartless that don't even always die when barrels hit them, like the Soldier Heartless from the last mission do. I swear, I started to lose my sanity obsessing over crossing that 300 point mark for this mission. So much so that my whole Saturday afternoon flew by before I even realized what was happening. I will make another attempt at this one day, but for now, the only piece of advice I can give is this. Learn to put the controller down and go touch grass for a while once you start hearing the sounds of loudmouths in your nightmares. For now, the best I could do is end my score with a total of 280 points. Overall, I had a pretty good time with this challenge. I feel like 358 points is totally possible on at least one of these, just not for me at this current moment in time. Maybe with the fully upgraded haste, or a different keyblade, or even with a different character, this minigame could be conquered. What I would really love to try is to get a team of 4 to try and get a brand new high score for Mission 39, as that's the only one that can be done in multiplayer to see just how far we could take it. There's just so much experimentation that can be done with this, and I would really love to see how other people try to beat my high score. If you manage to do it, join my Discord and send a picture of proof. As always, I've been Key, thanks for watching, see you next time, peace.